Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be the art of being mysterious. I've got an email here from a guy. This guy's brand new to my work. I think he's read the book just one time. And he got kind of fixated on one thing about being mysterious, which I talk about in the beginning of my book. And for those of you that know, if you haven't read the book yet, you can go to my website. You can actually read both my books for free now on my website by subscribing to the email newsletter. I highly encourage you to do that. The whole idea, the reason why I say read the book 10 to 15 times, is you want to get to know it so well, you don't have to think about it anymore. And you can see with only reading the book one time, that's why this guy's kind of getting fixated on one thing here and there. And when you're on a date, that can be absolutely deadly to the attraction. So he wants to know, it's like, what is the deal with being mysterious? Because obviously he goes into something that he saw in the beginning of the book, and he's trying to apply that through everything. He's like, well, how are you going to be mysterious when you guys have been together for a while? So I'm going to go into that and give him some more context. But keep in mind, big reason why this guy's having this question is he hasn't read the book 10 to 15 times, but I thought it was a good topic, so I wanted to cover it. So I had a quote that I wrote, and we'll go through his email. And the quote says, "Women are like cats when it comes to dating in that they tend to stick around to find out more about guys who are mysterious, unpredictable, and exciting versus guys who are an open book, boring, and predictable. Being mysterious is akin to not knowing the ending to a new movie release so you can enjoy living in the present moment and the movie as it unfolds in real time. Being boring and predictable is akin to reading and knowing all the spoilers, major plot points, and the ending of the movie before going to watch it, and telling everyone what you know before they see the movie. The juice of life is to be found in living in the present moment, where the future is never guaranteed or certain, despite the fact human beings have a fundamental need for certainty." So the idea is, just like I say in the quote, it's think of a date, think of a woman getting to know you as kind of like a movie. You want her to watch the movie, to enjoy the movie, to be wondering what's going to come next. What's he going to do next? He's so unpredictable. But the idea is the average guy goes out on a date, and he's thinking he's got to get all his cards on the table, let her know all about all the exes and all the relationships that didn't work out, his whole life history, what he does for a living, almost as if he's bringing a resume to a job interview hoping he's going to get hired. It's a bad way to go. And then afterwards, she's like, all right, I pretty much know what this guy's all about. Probably won't be going out with him again because he's pretty boring and predictable. And then she's on to the next guy. Women love mystery. And it's not about being an asshole or being a pain in the ass. There's a subtle art to it, and we're going to go through that, obviously. Let's go through his email. He says, "Hello, Corey. I just discovered you, and I'm just finishing your 3% Man book, and I'm currently reading Mastering Yourself. I'm planning on cycling them and reading them again after finishing this one. I have a question that's been on my mind since I first read your book. Maybe I missed it in the book and I need to go back and read it 10 to 15 times, which I will. You definitely need to go back and read it 10 to 15 times. But I would like some insight on my question, so next time I go back and read the book again, I'll have your answer in mind. My question is, how long or to what extent do you remain mysterious? In dates or while dating, the women will ask questions in return. If you remain mysterious and not really answering and going around the question by replying playfully all the time, well, I don't say to do that all the time. It's one of the things I also say in the book is 90% of the time you're a charming James Bond, and 10% of the time you're kind of naughty, you're a little playful. And I would say you're just from your question, you're probably latching onto something in a book, in my book, where I was talking about a date with a woman that I had gone out on and I had screwed up with in the past, and I hadn't seen her for years, and then I was actually got to go out with her again when I was also dating somebody else that I was really into. And on the date, I kept turning I would answer her question and talk for a minute or so, and then I would turn around and I would start asking questions again. And it had the positive effect on her, saying, God, I hardly know anything about you. I ended up talking the whole time. Now, this doesn't mean every single date that you go on is going to be like that. The important thing is what you're really looking for is You want to create the conditions where the woman is going to want to ask you. Because if she's interested about you and your life and your hopes and your dreams, she's going to want to know those things. And if she doesn't give a fuck, if she's just there for a free meal, or if she's just out with you because it's better than sitting at home doing nothing, then she's not going to ask you anything. And what you want to make sure is that it's, because the average guy, I mean, let's face it, if she's a pretty girl and she seems kind of cool, it's like we've already decided this will be the perfect wife for us. But you don't really know that. You don't know what she's like day in and day out. You don't know what she's like to wake up next to every day, or how she's going to react the first time you leave the fucking toilet seat up, or the 100th time that you leave the toilet seat up. You don't know these things, and so you have to get to know somebody. Instead of just becoming hypnotized because they're pretty and they got big boobs and a nice ass like you've always dreamed about your dream woman would be, you got to be able to look past that. And the way you look past that is you got to get to know the person. And they're also on probation as well. They also should have to earn the chance to be with you as well. It shouldn't be so one-sided where you're just hoping that they like you. Because women go out on a date with the attitude of, let's see what happens. I don't know enough about this guy yet. Let me see what he's like. But if you tell her everything about you and you're boring, in other words, you tell her your whole life story, that's just like telling the whole plot to a movie and how the movie's going to end. It's like, well, then why do we need to sit here and watch the movie if I already know how it's going to end? I mean, think about it. If you've known how a movie was going to go and you've told friends years before and they get pissed off at you for telling you how the movie ends, it's kind of the same way. It turns everybody off. So the idea is you want her to work to get to know you. And so it's like, what does being mysterious look like? Well, number one, she's got to ask. If she wants to know things about you, she obviously is going to have to ask things about you. But other ways that you're mysterious, it's like planning a date and not telling her where you're going. Maybe you haven't figured that out yet, or maybe you just want to surprise her. It's just something simple like that. Or when are you going to call? When is he going to call? It's not calling in the same day and the same time every week and asking her out every week at the same time. It's also not going, after you start hooking up after the third or fourth date, it's not just inviting her over for pizza and beer every Friday night and then having sex, then she stays over and leaves in the morning, and you don't call her till the following Wednesday and you invite her over for the same thing. Eventually she's going to get tired of it and say, well, you're just using me for sex or a booty call. So the idea of being mysterious is like, if you care, if you like the girl, you're going to want to go out and do fun things. If you really don't care about her, you're just going to invite her to come over and have some food and some drinks and some sex, and then she's going to be on her way. So the idea is, don't become boring and predictable like the movie that you've already seen 10 times. You want her to wonder about you. When are you going to call, or if you're going to call? Do you like her? When is she going to see you next? These are all things that, as they start going through her mind, she's going to become more curious and more interested in you. And therefore, she's going to call you or text you more because she needs to find out where she stands with you. And by not volunteering everything and being unpredictable and having a life of your own, goals, mission, purpose, business that you're building, career that you're building, friends that you hang out with, hobbies that you have, going to the gym, taking care of yourself, being that fun, interesting guy, just having a busy life helps enable you to appear mysterious. It's not about playing some fucking game with her. And if you go out on every date and you try to be evasive with every single question, after the first couple of times, she's going to think something's weird, something's off with this guy. Maybe he just escaped from prison and he's hoping I'm going to be his next meal ticket, maybe help him get across the border or something. I mean, think about it, dude. The idea is not to be a robot. The idea is to understand the principles. And when she has a reason to be curious, to ask, when your behavior's unpredictable, you don't call at the same time, you don't do the same thing on every single fucking date, and every time you get together with her. Maybe sometimes she comes over to your place, maybe sometimes you go to her place, maybe sometimes you have her pick you up. Maybe sometimes you go pick her up, maybe sometimes you meet her out. You just never know. Be different. Be exciting. Put some thought, put some effort into it. So my question is, how long or to what extent do you remain mysterious? In dates or while dating, the women will ask questions in return. If you remain mysterious and not really answering or going around the question by replying playfully all the time, I'm assuming she'll get tired of it and won't take you seriously. Well, again, you don't do it all the time, and the book tells you not to do it all the time. Just every once in a while, you're just messing with her a little bit. That's the whole idea, is to be playful, to be fun. Don't be such a fucking pushover. Further, if she stays in the relationship, she's bound to know more about you completely now, causing her to get bored since you're not a mystery anymore. What I mean, you can't be mysterious forever. Well, there are things you can do to be mysterious. If you haven't told her everything about you, and every time you hang out, oh, here's a little nugget from my childhood, here's a little nugget from when I was growing up, here's a little nugget from when I was in my 20s, here's a little nugget from college, or a funny story, or something funny that happened. It's like, think about it. The old adage from show business is always leave them wanting more. Every television show, every movie, there's always a cliffhanger. There's always some emotional tension that doesn't get resolved. And the only way it gets resolved is if you tune in next week, or you go see the sequel when it finally comes out, so you can resolve that tension. That's the mindset. That's the philosophy behind this. It's not about being evasive every time she asks you a question, dude. So that's all you have to focus on. It's a simple concept, but the key is to be unpredictable, to be different. Don't be just like everybody else. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book whatever coaching option works for you. And I will talk to you soon.